And we're back with game one. Looks like I'm player one. Tough choice. So certainly not going to play Spark Drone or Spark Bot or Munitions Drone here. I think it's really a choice between Infiltrator and Delver. Both of them are good proactive threats in player level 2 if I level them. Would be happy to level the Grove Huntress, but I think that putting out a Grove Huntress on the board is it's a weaker board position, and I think having Grove Huntress leveled is only really important if I also have my proactive level 2 threats leveled. So Infiltrator versus Delver. Uh, so I think Infiltrator is the card that I would rather draw as a level 1. I'd rather draw it under leveled later in the game. So I'm going to open Delver. Delver also becomes a 6/6 when it attacks, which means that uh, depending on what he has in his deck, some decks have a harder time dealing with the 6/6 than the 6/5. Although probably he's going to play something that could kill either the Delver or the Infiltrator. So it was really just a question of which one I wanted leveled. And let's see. So I think here I play Nexus Pilot for the board position, and then level the... Actually, this is a good... So I'm going to play Nexus Pilot for the board position. Not going to Metasite here because he's... He's playing Alloyin Tempest. Because he did Windborn Hellion, he probably has a bunch of move creatures. He has the potential, perhaps, with like Wind Primordials and Rhymehorn Chargers to punish me if I don't develop my board. And so I don't want to get behind early on, so I'm not going to play Metasite. Metamind Adept, generally the way I play Metamind Adept in draft is I save it as a level 1, and then when I'm in player level 2 or 3, I hope that a Metamind Adept in a bad hand can fish out the powerful threat that I need. So I think I'm happy to keep that a level behind. I'm going to play Nexus Pilot. Matrix Warden would be a great card to level. In general, I think I'd rather level the Matrix Warden than the Swamp Moss Lurker. On the other hand, I think Lurker up against Hellion is just too good a block to pass up. It forces him to spend resources doing something to save his Hellion. Now, maybe he does something like plays Windcaller Shaman and moves his Hellion out of the way. Maybe he's going to buff his Hellion somehow, but again, he's going to have to spend some resources to turn that into a positive situation for him. And any resources that he spends saving his Hellion are not resources that he can spend developing other threats. So he plays Nexus Pilot. We're going to evenly trade there. That's perfectly fine with me. Scorchmane Dragon. So I think now I'm really glad that I didn't Metasite, because he potentially has a scarier late game than I have, and so I want to get pressure on him as much as possible during player level 2. Scorchmane Dragon 3 is really scary. Scorchmane Dragon 2 obviously is strong in its own right. I'm going to play, I think, the Forge Plate Sentry, and then I'll run combat. I could conceivably have used Strength in Numbers to save my Nexus Pilot. In the short term, that wouldn't have been a bad idea, except that I really don't want my Strength in Numbers leveled. I think I'd rather level up something stronger, like a Grove Matriarch or a Light Shield Patrol, that can be a threat during player level 2. I haven't seen my Enrages yet. I've only seen one of my Matrix Wardens. I'm going to toss out a Light Shield Patrol. And yeah, I'm going to toss out a Light Shield Patrol. Enraging the Light Shield Patrol is could be a strong play here. Again, I need to put pressure on him, keep pressure on him, because he he hesitated with that Scorchmane Dragon, put himself a little bit behind, and I need to make him pay for that as much as possible before he draws his Scorchmane Dragon again. Also, in general, I'm much happier to level in Rage than Strength in Numbers. In almost any board position, in Rage 2 is quite strong, whereas Strength in Numbers 2 is highly situational, and it can be dangerous to level a card that is so situational early game because you run the risk of getting a really awkward draw during player level 2. So War Charger is definitely a card to level up. War Charger is a potential game winner. And then I think I'm going to enrage the Light Shield Patrol. I think he's still at player level 1. He's not going to have an answer to the enraged Light Shield Patrol, so I can get likely 14 damage through here. And this is not the draw I wanted to see in 2.1. Again, this is a situation where we'll see what the board looks like. I seriously consider tossing out Metamind Adept as my first play. So he does have an answer to the Light Shield Patrol. Requires him spending a Stormcaller, but oh well. Not what I wanted to see, but that's okay. He had to spend significant resources on it. Tempted to toss out my Metamind Adept as my first play just to see if I can dig for a better threat. And so Swamp Moss Lurker, I think I mentioned earlier, Swamp Moss Lurker is not a good threat. I really don't like playing Swamp Moss Lurker into an empty lane during player rank 2 because it's really not putting pressure on him. He's going to be able to answer this with something like a level 1 Vault Technician or a level 1 Matrix Warden buff itself. Or a Stormcaller. Yeah, there's so many level 1 cards that he can use to answer this. It's really not putting much pressure on him. But that's okay. I'm still no not drawing well here at the beginning of player rank 2. The draws that I'm getting here at the beginning of player rank 2, not seeing my threatening cards like Delver or Forge Plate Sentry, War Charger, could come back to haunt me if he gets his Scorchmane Dragon 2 out early. So hopefully, if I'm not seeing the cards I want, he will also be missing his Scorchmane. Interesting. So I think the Palladia... yeah, that was an... I think was an odd play on his part. Really, he wants to answer my Swamp Moss Lurker with a level 1 card. Maybe he didn't have the 6 attack level 1 card available to him, but spending a Palladia Pulse Mage 2 on my Lurker, he's not going to get an activation on his Pulse Mage. Maybe it was a bad draw, but he can't be happy with that. What are my options here? So one option certainly is I could enrage my Lurker and then Grove Huntress it. The nice thing about Enrage plus Grove Huntress is that it keeps my Lurker alive. Unfortunately, my Lurker would be alive at 1 health, and he's playing Tempest. And Alloyin, I have to worry that he's going to do something like Magma Hound it, toss a Technosmith 1 in front of it. I think there's too many ways that he could get it off the board without, and still get some additional value from the play. So I think a 1 health Lurker is not what I want to be spending my resources to create. I'm going to toss out Munitions Drone here. The reason I'm tossing out Munitions Drone is that I'm hoping for a good threat next turn, like a Forge Plate Sentry or a War Charger or a Light Shield Patrol, and the Munitions Drone to buff that could be strong. So this is a situation where an under-leveled Munitions Drone can be useful. My board position is fine, so I don't need a blocker. And then I also want to level the Grove Huntress. I think the way I level the Grove Huntress is just to block the or to buff the War Charger. Not that there's a whole lot of difference between a 4/4 War Charger or a 4/5/5 War Charger, but it does get me a point of damage, and I will take all the damage I can get, since I know that he has a Scorchmane Dragon in his pocket. Nexus Pilot is annoying. So let's see. So my play here is surely to play the War Charger and the Light Shield Patrol. Buff the Light Shield Patrol with armor. I think that what I do here is I'm still at 100, so I'm going to take 10 damage from the Nexus Pilot and see what I draw next turn. We're going to get Light Shield Patrol, buff the Light Shield Patrol to create a 10/10 armored creature, and then toss out the Ionic War Charger. This is a scary board position for him. Even after the Nexus Pilot hits me, I'm still up in life. In particular, this is an example of a situation where it's just so much better to be up in life after the early game instead of down. When I'm sitting on a 20-25 point life lead, I can make more aggressive plays like leaving the Nexus Pilot unblocked. And he wants me to pay for that. So the Asur's Blessing is not a card that I like playing in draft. I mean, he's getting a little bit of value out of it here, but Asur's Blessing always feels like a bad version of either Enrage or Tech Upgrade. In pretty much every situation, I would rather have a Enrage or a Tech Upgrade instead of an Asur's Blessing. So let me see. So I need to do 15 damage to his... Actually, I can just block this with Forge Plate Sentry. Yeah, I think that's what I do. I think I'm just going to block this with Forge Plate Sentry. With the armor, my Forge Plate Sentry survives. And then I have a choice. Probably playing out the Delver is going to be the right answer. I consider Strength in Numbers here just because the I can create a scary creature with Strength in Numbers plus my Munitions Drone. But I think just raw number of threats on the board here is going to be strong for me. So I'm going to Munitions Drone my War Charger. I've got the 12/12 War Charger, 10/10 Armored Light Shield, and the Growing Delver. It's going to be hard for him to deal with all of those. This is pretty much exactly the way the deck was supposed to work. And the 3.1 Forge Plate Sentry 3, which means I should be winning this one, I think, unless barring the Scorchmane Dragon coming out too quickly. But even now, I think the Scorchmane Dragon. I see he missed his Scorchmane too, so this should be about over. Let's see. So I toss out the Nexus Pilot, the Forge Plate Sentry, Munitions Drone. Probably do the Light Shield Patrol. I don't know that it matters a whole lot what I hit with my Munitions Drone. All level 1 hand, but it doesn't matter. Looking to enrage my Forge Plate Sentry, and then this should be about over. Yeah, that's not really going to help him. And with 25 damage on the board, I should just be able to win. Well, thank you so much for watching the game, and I will see you back here shortly for Game 2.